Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth, and we are proud to offer this program with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for future use through a YouTube channel. And today, our guest is Peggy Spear with the Amon Carter Museum of American Art, and we are talking about birds today.
Birds.
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 Hello, friends. And you know, I think some of y'all might have talked about birds while I was on maternity leave because we had an exhibition, a photography exhibition up over the summer from artist in the Evans Archives, Elliot Porter, and those were all photographs.
Yeah.
But we're going a different route today. Let's
Okay.
pull it on up. All right. Ooh, wrong thing.
Isn't there a Bible verse about mounting up on eagle's wings or something to that effect?
Yeah, there's a hymn.
Ah, okay.
Well, I don't know where it's from in the Bible. At least I went to Catholic school growing up, so that was like one of the fan favorites. All the kids knew the words, so that one's like ingrained in my brain. All right, so we are doing birds, like Gail said. And we're going to look at 3 different artists, and then I just threw some fun images we have in our collection of birds in at the end. But we're going to start with the artists, the Gentling brothers. Are any of you Fort Worth natives?
No.
No?
No, but I know Gentling.
Okay. So these 2 guys, oh wait, no, you know what? I'm jumping the gun. First, we're going to start with Audubon, the original bird guy. How many of y'all have heard of John James Audubon?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Are any of you in the
Audubon.
Audubon Society?
yeah. Yes.
Oh, you are?
I was for a while. I haven't been lately.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me Martha was. She's a bird lover. So John James Audubon was one of the original, if not the original, bird artists. And he traveled North America to depict all of the different birds that he could find, and would do life-size drawings of them. So he worked very closely with Black and Indigenous people who were often out in the field or living in nature and knew an area very well that he was not familiar with. So he gained a lot of information that way. He did a lot of his own traveling, and he would often take birds, see birds in nature, and sometimes take them home with himself because you'll notice here, the amount of detail
Right.
is more than I don't know about you guys, but I would not remember that type of detail when I was back in my studio without referencing. And photography at the time wasn't where it would be where he could snap a picture and then draw what he
No.
found. So
Wow.
he was really known for, one, how beautiful they were, making this ornithology and art. But he was also known to make him a little romantic, maybe posed a little in a way that wasn't quite how you might see him in nature. And so this turkey is a perfect example of, you might actually see a turkey walking around, you see some bamboo shoots in the background, but you would never be able to. Oh, go ahead, Paulette.
I can't, I've tried so hard not to say this, but you can't help but love the title of this painting.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
You talking about the wild turkey part or the Volgo part?
He loves the title.
The
Great
wild
American cockmale. And so, yeah, he, and then here's the female. I think the coloring of the male is prettier,
Yeah.
but I think the picture of the female is actually nicer.
I love this. I love it.
She's more of an action picture.
Yeah, you get that feeling.
Yeah.
What do you say that?
Movement.
Like, what do you see that?
Being a mom is an active role.
Babies.
Ain't that the truth, Paulette? Yeah, you've got little babies. You've got some some little young that are lame, maybe they trip, still getting a little feel for walking. And here you get this sense of just kind of, I'm the turkey. Look at, I don't need anyone but me. Feels very kind of almost stately in his pose. But John James Audubon would, he created all of these different prints over the course of, I think it was from 1827 to 1838. So a long time. And he ended up doing 490 different species found in the North American continent.
How many was that? How many?
490 different species.
Wow.
And it was, let me look at the number, make sure I'm telling you right. It was 435 plates. So different, so in some instances he might have had, like you see here, well, this is all one type of bird, but in some instances he might have had a branch and then there were like 3 different types of little birds on it.
Okay.
So that's why there are more birds than plates, because he sometimes
Plates? You say plates?
Plates, yeah, so prints essentially.
Okay.
And so they were then watercolored. So they would first be, they were engraved, and then he would go back, or he would have sometimes studio assistants go back and paint them all in.
Yes.
Engraving with applied watercolor.
Yeah.
And he would send, so what he started doing was, because he was really interested in this project, but he needed funding to be able to go see all of the areas that have different birds. He needed funding. So he started a subscription service where people would pay, and every so often he would mail out some of his new prints. So for example, let's say in March, he would mail out 5 prints, and you would, as you as the subscriber, would get all 5 in the mail. And so this was kind of an affordable way for people to get art for their house.
Yeah.
Was an affordable way for people to see birds that they may never see. And it was a way to learn about birds for those who were actually interested. So he did this over the course of however many years it was, I think it's 9 or 10. And he mailed out 85 different mailings of 5 birds.
Wow.
And then at the end, you would have 400, you'd had the 490 different sheets.
Wow.
Imagine to have all of those today.
I know. Oh my gosh. When his works are beautiful, like Paulette said.
So is there one book that has all these painting pictures in?
Yes, we actually have a copy of it here at the museum in our library. So if you were ever to come here, you are able to request that they pull it out and you can see it in all its glory. And we also then have all of the sheets as individual plates as well. So every once in a while we'll hang some of his birds out, but we never hang them all at once. And man, we don't have enough wall space to hang them all.
No kidding.
But the same thing, like we've talked about with papers in the past, once his bird goes on, once a work on paper goes on view, we then have to rest it for a few years because of the watercolor and it being on paper. It needs time to heal, essentially. So, of course, we all know John James Audubon and his beautiful birds. Well, of course, he was like setting the trend, and many people were interested in what he was doing. So he inspired, we talked earlier, the local artists, the Gentling brothers. And so here's their turkey. So as a reminder, their turkey, their brothers, we'll talk about them. Audubon's turkey. Kind of looks like a spitting image. But Audubon did it better, in my opinion. So what do we see here? What are you noticing about this particular one?
It's different coloring.
Different coloring.
Totally different scenery. This is a distant scene in the background.
Yes, really good point, Martha. Yeah. So the Gentling brothers, they were twins. Got a picture of them right here. Scott was on the left, Stuart's on the right. They're twins. They would tag team these artworks, and together they would produce their prints. So that the first print that they ever owned was Audubon's turkey. And so felt inspired, and then they wanted to create plates of birds that were Texas birds. So they created a book, and it was of plates again, only 40 birds this time, and it was all of just Texas native birds. So what Martha had pointed out is they would focus on the bird, but they would also incorporate some sort of Texas scenery in the background. So this feels maybe it might be West Texas, maybe closer down south.
Flat, whenever rolling, small
Yeah.
hill, flat.
Flat.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm not clear. It says half-tone color print. Was it actually a drawing that they made and then watercolored?
So yeah, so what they would do is Scott, wait, I confuse the twins all the time. So Stuart would draw it, and then they would transfer it. So he would draw the bird, and then they would put charcoal on the back side of that drawing, and then they would trace it onto the good paper. So halftone color print is sort of like newspaper print, a little nicer. And then they would go in and color it. So these are really fragile in that they're not on like heavy weighted paper the way some of Audubon's prints are. So similar, but they would draw then transfer. And whereas Audubon was doing engravings
Okay.
to make multiple prints of it, whereas they were tracing.
So what kind of paper did they use again?
Halftone, it's kind of similar to newspaper print.
Okay. Like thin and
A
okay.
little thinner, not as
Yeah.
not as thick, heavy. So they loved the turkey, and they were big Benjamin Franklin enthusiasts, as you know, one might be. And they really loved the turkey as well, because Benjamin Franklin had once suggested instead of the eagle, we have the turkey be the national bird.
Absolutely.
So this was part of the reason why they were really gravitating towards.
Well, just think if if the wild turkey had become the national bird, what would Thanksgivings be like if we were eating the national bird every
Are we
day?
jumping in?
Eagles instead.
Really?
We'd probably be eating
Go ahead.
something else for Thanksgiving.
I think so.
Goose.
Right.
We talked about a goose once, didn't we, Yetta?
Maybe we did, yes.
Well, that was what inspired me to do the turkeys, and then I was finding out all this information about them. But because Thanksgiving's right around the corner, and we just recently had this artwork, the Gentling's artwork, and then next to the John James Audubon one, and it was really cool seeing them on the wall, and they're
Really?
massive. I mean, like, you're thinking, it might just be like a 9x12. It had a presence on the wall. It was very cool to see in person. Because yeah, John James Audubon would do his life size. And so this one isn't quite as big as a life size one. So of course they didn't have the same. But cool to see them next to each other. All right, so let me think. Are there any other notes about this guy?
So did you say they were local from Fort Worth or something?
Yes, they are.
Oh.
They actually, I think one of the twins just recently passed away in the last couple of years, and they had a big estate sale. So some people were able to snag some of their bird prints.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah. So some people on staff went and got not their masterworks, so to speak, but other prints that they had. And they had a bunch of stuffed birds that they
wow.
from. So people on staff, some people grabbed some of their birds too.
Wow.
And they grew up with birds, so they were bird people from the jump. They had hawks growing up, and
Oh wow.
yeah, so they were bird people through and through. And but they're local, and you might know if you ever go to Bass Hall. They've done all the murals inside of Bass Hall. They have different murals around town, so the city really welcomed them. And then all of the bird prints used to belong to the Fort Worth Museum of Nature and Science. And just a couple of years ago, we received a large endowment, the Scott and Bentley like endowment fund. And so we were gifted all of those prints from the Fort Worth Museum of Nature and Science, or History and Science. And now they're here. And we just
Oh, great.
had before lockdown last fall, and then into the winter right before lockdown, we had 20 of the prints up, and then they rotated out for the other 20. So all 40 had been on view in the last year.
Okay, how old are they? This picture of them is from 75.
Yeah, they are. Should have written their life dates down. They died, I want to say, in like 2016 and 2018. I think they died close together, and I want to say they were in their 80s when they died.
Sorry, I'm sorry, say that again.
I think they were in their 80s when they passed away.
Oh, in their 80s. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, they were older.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I look like that in the 70s too.
That's a look. Did you have a beard? Did you have your beard then too?
Well, I just had long hair.
Long hair. Well, yeah, there's some pretty fun pictures of them.
And the jewelry, the chunky gold jewelry.
Yeah,
from
the chunky
70s.
gold jewelry, yeah.
Yeah, and look, I bet you knowing, they were kind of eclectic-y type of people. I bet you that was a turquoise cuff bracelet he's wearing.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
And so, what did you say, they passed away?
Yes, they're both no longer living.
Oh,
And one, gosh, I can't. So it's really interesting. They're twins, but they don't like to be referred to as twins. But they're referred to as brothers. So in any
Brothers, yeah.
they're always just referred to as brothers. But I think they're only minutes apart from each other. And so one was a little more outgoing and social. One was a little more recluse. And so, but they were thick as thieves and did all of their artworks together. So they had a wonderful creative dynamic between the two. And we're having a big next summer, you can think that far ahead. We're having a big exhibition because we inherited their estate or were gifted their estate. We're having a big exhibition of some of the ephemera that they had, the birds that were stuffed, other artworks that they've worked on. So it will be a really, really cool and very eclectic show because of their personality. So
Okay.
keep your eyes out for that next summer.
Number 7, it's great. Sounds great.
All right, we got one more artwork that we're going to talk deep about, and this is 2 hummingbirds above a white orchid.
2011.
Have any of you seen, this is like one of the staples here in our permanent collection. It's almost always on view. Have any of you seen this one before?
I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's kind of it used to be by the bathroom, so some people just sort of walk past it.
Yeah.
But it's only about, yeah, it's one of those like, oh, there's birds, keep on going. I got a mission. I'm going to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not large at all. It's, I didn't include any dimensions this time. That was my fault. It's probably, a little over 1.5 feet long and not about 1 foot wide. It's pretty small. But it's so exquisite in its coloring. The color here on the screen does not do justice to how vibrant and lush this artwork feels. So what do we see? Tell me what y'all see.
Well, I see kind of an odd mixture of mountains and tropical trees.
Okay, yes.
Costa Rica, maybe?
Yeah, that would be good.
You're
And
close. It's not Costa Rica, it's Brazil, but it is
Bill.
and the orchid is painted in such a way that it looks like a flying bird.
Oh,
Yes, it does.
what
Yes,
a
it does.
wonderful observation.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And the detail on the leaves is incredible. I mean, the tiny little, it's beautiful. I love it.
That's a little Georgia O'Keeffe.
It
It is, yes.
before her time, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this artist, we have a few other of his artworks on view that are not hummingbirds, but he was known as the hummingbird artist. He made a name for himself painting hummingbirds and orchids. And so this is one of his masterworks that we have on view. And so do you see, okay, so we noticed the big flower. I think that's where all of your eyes went first. Do you notice right above?
Yeah, the hummingbirds.
Yes, 2 hummingbirds. And again, we're looking, he's showing off, one, that he can paint them, but two, how they look, how you might see them in nature.
Relaxing.
One's a female, one's a male. So you're seeing the same of the species. And he, so he would go down, he went down to Central and South America 3 different times in earlier in his life. He went to Jamaica and then Brazil and somewhere else in Costa Rica, or somewhere else in Central America. And what he would do is he would make sketches out in the field, again, no cameras, or cameras that would allow him to get the things he wanted. He would make quick sketches, but he would also capture birds. Any guesses on how he would capture these hummingbirds?
With a net between trees.
I wish he did it that way, Don. That sounds a little more humane.
Oh, no.
What he would do is he would go to these orchids or any plants and he would line it with glue.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so then the bird would fly over, of course, and their little beaks would get caught. And he would wait until there was no longer a struggle, and then he would take these birds back up with him to New York. So he was able to paint these.
Oh, no.
I know, could you imagine doing that today?
No,
no.
no.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it would be insane. And every ASP, everybody would be coming at you.
Yes.
So he would do that. He would take the birds back with him, and then when it came to the flowers, he had a greenhouse essentially, and he would work with other botanists in the New York area so that these plants were available to him year round. So he was able to really paint the orchid even if it was out of season. But this is one of these really fun artworks that if you guys were here with me, I have a line drawing so you can kind of feel
Oh, wow.
that you can sort of see it's raised. But it's just a fun way because you want to get up real close and you can feel this is the actual size of the bird in the artwork. So you get a good feel. And we have little hummingbirds too. I mean, this is but a couple of inches
Mhm.
and very, very light.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get a sense of how floatable these little birdies were and how easy it would be to actually travel with them once he unfortunately caught
So
them.
Peggy, how big is this painting?
It's, I don't have the exact dimension. You know what? I do have the exact dimensions. Let me look it up in my trusty book here. It's not big, and the frame that it's in, which we don't have it photographed in its frame, is a really ornate gold, beautiful frame that really makes some of the details pop. Just adds a little element of glitz to it. All right, so it is 18 inches, so yeah, 1.5 feet tall.
That was a good guess.
I'm surprised myself because I am the worst with math. I mean, there could be 5 of us in a room, and I'm like, yeah, there are about 50 people in here. My husband's like, what are you talking about? And then it's about 10 inches wide.
Okay.
Oh, it is
Small.
small.
Okay.
Yeah, and but the gold frame itself is several inches wide and very ornate and sticks out at you. So it has a larger presence because of the frame.
Mhm.
But this one it used to belong to the Modern, couple of blocks down from us, and we ended up acquiring it early on when the museum opened.
This does not seem like modern art to me.
No, and I don't know enough about the Modern Museum, but I think this is that they thought the same thing, and that's why we acquired it. Didn't fit with what they were collecting. They're not even a collecting museum, or no, they are, but they weren't collecting this type of art. So their decision to give it up was our gain, and so we now have it on view. And if you go to Crystal Bridges up in Bentonville, Arkansas, that's
Yes.
they have like an entire room of all of these different types of paintings that he's done. So
Wow.
yeah, it's really cool to see. So
Oh, that's a neat place, Crystal Bridges.
I've never been. We work with them all the time. So
Oh, if you get a chance, go.
Has anyone else been to Crystal Bridges up in Arkansas?
No,
Where's it
unfortunately.
at in Arkansas?
Say that again?
Where at in Arkansas is it?
Bentonville.
Okay.
It's
Bentonville?
a Walmart family backed it, and that's why it's there.
That's where the
That's an
casket.
interest. It
No,
really
that's
is cool.
Batesville. Never mind.
Hey, has anyone noticed today is a double numbered day? It's 11/11
11,
of
11.
2020.
Oh, that's right.
Amazing.
It's 11/11 of 2020.
And is it 11?
Make sure you
That's
do
cool.
something twice today.
I thought it was going to be 11 on 11 o'clock too, but it's 10:59.
Yeah.
Oh, doggone, I should have waited.
Well,
Yeah.
it's almost
No,
11
no,
o'clock.
It wasn't after 11 on 11/11 of 2020. There you go.
It's only 1
Somebody-
minute till 11 though.
That's right. Now we turn
Oh,
to,
there you go.
it's 11 o'clock.
o'clock,
So then,
11/20/20.
It's 11 on November the 11th.
Happy
and
Veterans
if you
Day.
wait till 11 after, it'd be 11/11, 2020, 11/11.
Everyone
Yeah,
has to
there
make
you
a
go.
wish and throw a penny in a well, and everyone has to pray for anything good to happen right at that moment. It's like the best time.
Oh, yeah.
So
My,
while-
my
The ones to know.
Right.
Happy
while
Veterans Day.
chatting, I looked up the book of the paintings by John James Audubon, and there is a rare first edition from 1844. It's volume 2, and the selling price is $1,000.
That's actually cheaper than I thought you were going to
Wow.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
Well, it's not in mint condition, and it's only volume 2.
Okay.
If it were
Okay.
both volumes, it probably would be more expensive.
Well, what we can do is we can all pull our money together, get one person we can get a hand of, and we'll start doling them out. You get one,
That's
you
right.
get one.
Well,
I'm okay with whatever I get.
We
it
take
doesn't
turn
look
having
like
it,
the book is
hang it.
very big.
We can take turns, like custody of a child, you know? I'm
Right,
getting
right, right.
next
That's
month,
right.
get the turkey next month. I like that idea.
It says the book has 371 pages.
Okay, so that's a little short because there should be 435, I believe.
Okay, but this is volume 2.
Yeah. So they probably have a lot of description in it.
Yeah. So they probably split it into 2. But
Yep.
doesn't say what size the book is, you know, like how tall
Yeah.
and how wide it is. It doesn't
So
look like
The
it's
book's what you're thinking. The book we have here, it's, I mean, about half the size of me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's massive.
Because you said they were life size,
Some of them
right?
are life size. And so, like, for
Yeah.
example, the flamingo he's got, which is a beautiful print, and I'm sure you've all seen versions of it. The flamingo is bending down, or the whooping crane is bending down. So, like, it's folding itself in a way that makes the paper a little smaller. So it's still life size, just not standing up life size.
But
That's interesting.
there are some that you can purchase for under $50
Huh,
if you
Really?
on eBay.
on eBay. And the tricky thing
Interesting.
about eBay is you don't know if it's authentic or not.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you're going to go that route, go through like an auction house.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are always better too, in better condition. So I've got a couple more birds. We're not going to get into the history of them, but just some beautiful bird pictures that I found. It's neat because one of the good things about digital is we're able to see artworks that are almost never on view or that we didn't even know we had. So this one you can see if you come in. This one you cannot see if you come in, but this is Arthur Fitzwilliam Tate, and he used to do a lot of these like weekly or monthly pictures that you could buy through Courier and Ives. So here's an example of one. And another photograph.
It's a photograph,
I like
yeah.
that one.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that beautiful and so surreal?
Mhm.
It looks like it's a photograph.
Yeah. I know I stumbled across this one. I was like, I love this photograph. I have never seen it before.
Wow.
And then We got to end with our turkey.
Oops.
Now there's the turkeys I recognize.
And I'll tell you, in this series, we start with these turkeys and we end with the turkeys we get at the supermarket. So I kept it on.
Well, yes.
Did you happen to bring the picture of the two birds that represent the Gentling brothers?
No, I didn't pull that picture. Do you have it?
Not handy. I'd have to look it up on Google.
No, I don't have.
Well, that's a story for the bass, isn't it?
Probably. You know, and it's funny because when they were telling the stories of some of the birds, they were really focused on a lot of the art making of it and not necessarily the biographical information of it. So I didn't, some of that stuff was glossed over, so I didn't know some of those details.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
That can be a future deal.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I'm sure they'll get into that with that exhibition we have coming in this summer. That will be a lot more, I think, biographical than what we were doing with the bird prints. So I'm going to leave you with some turkeys, getting us geared up for later this month. And I emailed Gail, but I switched our talk for next week, and we're going to talk about politics. And we're not talking blue or red, but we're just talking about we have some beautiful George Caleb Bingham prints on view right now. And then an artwork from St. Louis Art Museum that's on
Oh,
loan.
St. Louis.
Yes. Slam has a wonderful Bingham.
My grandfather used to be a guard at the Art Museum in St. Louis.
Oh, and they have beautiful grounds. How cool.
Mm.
So we're going to look at those artworks before they go. But we won't have to get into the nitty gritty of the politics. So don't feel like you're walking into a debate.
Okay.
We ain't debating. Okay?
It looks like this last picture of the turkeys is what you would today call free range.
Sure.
No, not really. I don't think.
No?
Free range is basically open area with a large fence holding everything in it, but it gives them room to run around wherever they want. This is really these are pens actually.
But I'm sure it's probably better conditions then than what
Yes.
was
Yes.
happening.
Yes, it is.
Some of our
Absolutely, it is.
poultry farms
Yes.
now. So, all right, my friends, it was good seeing
Thank
you. all.
you.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you, Peggy.
Great day. Great
Thank
day.
you very much.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thanks, guys. I'll see y'all next week. Have a good week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, let's see what's up for tomorrow. As you all know, we rearranged our schedule this week. So tomorrow is Mind Fit with Dave Parks.
Yay.
So come ready to put that brain to work.
Oh,
Good
boy.
luck on that one.
So I hope you all enjoyed Peggy's presentation on.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's always nice.
So she says she's going to have some political artwork.
Mhm.
Is she going to present to us through the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't
Praise the
forget the
worship.
cafe. Isn't today
Yes.
Wednesday?
Yes,
It
it
is.
is. So let me share that link. And Janine, thank you for the reminder. I'm
Thank you,
at my
yes.
office today and I probably would have forgotten about it.
I actually have some photographs of birds that I have that
Can you share it with us
if
today?
I can find them quickly, I'll share them in the cafe.
Okay. So I've just shared the cafe link in the chat box. Paulette, I will send it to you by email.
Okay. All right.
And whenever you click on that link, you will immediately leave this room and be in the other room, and you will arrive there before I can get there. So if you get there and you are alone, just hang out a minute and I'll be there shortly.
You're
I'm-
magical.
All righty.
Well,
I'm
we'll say
going-
goodbye.
Are you in there now, Gail?
No,
Yeah.
I can't be two places at once, not even
Okay.
on the computer.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll send invites, everybody. We don't have time to go to the cafe today.
Okay.
Have a
Bye.
great
And
day,
we'll be,
everybody.
All
and
right,
we'll
have
be
a good
singing
one.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
So,
Okay, see you over in the cafe, those of you who can join us.
Okay, so
Okay.
I
Thank
have
you.
to get there
bye.
through email.
Bye.
Yes, I'm going to send you an email, Paulette.
Okay, all righty. Thank you, thank you.